On July 30th, 1943, a B-17 named Tondelayo is under attack. Michael L Arooth is in the back. Mike, as he is known among the crew, is ready when the German BF109s and FW190s arrive, sometimes 4 at a time. Mike shoots away at the throng of German fighters, as does the rest of the formation, which now consists of 186 flying fortresses and 123 P-47 Thunderbolts conducting a raid on German industry. The Germans must believe all tail gunners are idiots. They keep coming in, firing, turning bottoms up, and slipping away. There's silence, but then they return. "Everybody, I need guns!" It is relentless. Mike sees the majority of the action. "They're approaching! Get ready to strike! Fighter! Fighter! 7 o'clock!" When attacked again, the formation moves towards Remagen. The navigator Elmer Bendener stated in his book, Fall of Fortresses, "Near Remagen, I noticed 2 enemy fighters had fallen. I fired at the arrows in the sky, but I realized I was just making noises to let them know we were still alive on the port side. Then the fighters vanished. The crew knew what was going to happen next. The flak began. Tondelayo is repeatedly rocked by flak. The motors are grinding away. Tondelayo flies unwaveringly through a sky of angry black shell blasts. Bomb bay doors are open. They're away. Geez, look at that. The bombs are away. Look at that flak. It's so thick you can walk on it. Bombs away. Let's blow this thing and go home. The explosives are gone, and the pilot, Second Lieutenant Bonnie Fox, abruptly steers the Tondelayo to the right. As the flak begins to fade, there are brief moments of relief before the fighters return. The transmission. "Bandits, coming in at 3 o'clock, is heard. The Thunderbolts rush to confront the threat, ascending and disappearing from Fox's view. Behind him, his top turret gunner begins fire, and a swarm of BF109s descends on the Americans. All of the B-17's weapons fire as enemy fighters fly by, tracers filling the air. Outside, the Thunderbolts put up a strong defense, but are just outmatched. There are so many Germans that the pilots can't keep up with them, and many begin tearing through the bomber formations unchecked. In the midst of the mayhem, all Fox can do is brace himself and maintain his position. 5 o'clock! 5 o'clock! Their unity is their power. He must hold the girl stable even as he sees their comrades being torn apart around him. Look at them. They're pure devils. Remain focused. In the back, Arooth is a skilled gunner who is demonstrating his abilities. A second 109 comes in for an attack run, but barely opens fire before Arooth's well-placed bombardment tears its wing off. Come on! Who's next? Mayday! Mayday! We're going down! The gunners on the flying fortress have their hands full. Enemies fly past underneath and to either side. It's a complete swarm. Casings and links cling to the ground amid a symphony of machine bullets as everyone fights for their lives. Enemy shells strike Tondelayo's wings multiple times, but the hardy girl perseveres. Fighter! Fighter! 7 o'clock! Roger that! Back in the tail, a third German charges into the attack at breakneck speed, but it is insufficient to throw off Arooth. The dual machine guns unleash their power with loud bangs, casings and links adhering to the floor. Once again, the enemy is ripped apart by the salvo. But his luck was about to run out. When a fourth BF109 approaches with its left guns blazing, Arooth doesn't have time to fire before a 20mm round detonates right next to him, blowing open a gash in the fuselage and sending metal shards falling directly into him. The explosion hits his left leg, injuring him severely with shrapnel. His oxygen tube has been cut and his left machine gun is ruined. Mike gets on the intercom. "I'm hit in my right hand and my left leg." The group then hears a tangle of static. "Mike! Mike! Do you hear me? Mike! Mike! Are you okay? Mike!" Fox feels the crash and realizes that Mike has been hit, and he now has a bandit on his tail with no tail gunner to confront him. Against all bomber pilot prudence, he presses on the stick, pushing the flying fortress into a shallow dip in a desperate evasive maneuver. Behind the cockpit, spent cases tumble across the floor, and the crew is overcome with despair and dread as they feel their jet crash beneath them. What the hell? According to Bendiner, the navigator Bond was climbing, diving, and forming corkscrew patterns in a bizarre choreography intended to frighten the combatants, who were pushing in from all sides. He said, "When I tried to stand, my feet slipped from underneath me. I clutched to my desk and the revolver, waiting for the attack to stop. Holes began to appear in the formation as additional planes crashed. Oh my gosh, look at that, they're going down." When Mike finally came back on, his words were jumbled and he sounded like he was phoning from a painfully long distance. "They bailed. Have you heard me, Mike?" But at least the crew knew he was still alive. The attack continues, but interestingly, there are no waist guns. A call is broadcast over the intercom. "Bombarder to waist gunners! Bombarder to waist gunners! Come on in!" "Come in, Stockman and Heron. God damn it. Come inside. Do you read me? Duke, come inside. Bombarder to radio. Duke, come inside." The Tondelayo's motors moaned on. Mike's voice came across the intercom, indistinct, fuzzy, and strangely calm. "They're gone." What does he mean by "they're gone"? What the hell is he talking about? Bond is outraged. He transfers control to the co-pilot and makes his way through the plane. The radio operator is gone. When he gets to the waist gunners, he's startled to see that they've been abandoned. There, they locate the radio operator. Bendiner stated, "He was seated on the floor with one leg dangling beyond the open hatch. Bob and I dragged him across the floor, past the waist ports, where the wind howled like an Arctic blizzard, and we could see our attacker's silvery wings curving and spitting sparks. The fuselage floor was torn in places, and the metal had peeled back. Multicolored cables were shredded. We sat Duke up in the radio room, checking to see whether he was bleeding. He was undisturbed, but his eyes were dreamy, and he smiled with a ludicrous peace. There was no oxygen in the back of the plane. Back in the tail, Arooth's left leg is broken, bleeding heavily, and immobile. He ignores the pain and furiously tries to access his emergency oxygen supply through the breach in the fuselage, despite the extremely cold wind. But he is too injured to get there, so he abandons the oxygen and returns to his machine gun, despite the fact that hypoxia and blood loss are rapidly developing. He fires indiscriminately at a variety of targets, determined to safeguard the B-17 until the bitter end. The conflict is ongoing, and Arooth's final operable 50 cal jams. The BF109 starts to prepare for its attack run. Arooth's brain is battling for oxygen, but despite everything hindering his thinking, he recognizes the problem immediately. The BF109 targets the Tondelayo. Arooth opens the receiver, clears the jammed canvas belt, and refits it. The BF109 opens fire. Arooth returns to the gun and raises it in an instant, just in time to meet the BF109 with a storm of lead, turning it into a ball of flame. The fight continues, but no other 109s make an attack run on the Tondelayo. Eventually, the shattered adversary retreats, and the skies quiet down. The remaining crew is greatly frightened and unsure how they are still alive. One of the members checks on Arooth and is surprised to see his condition. He administers first aid, including applying a tourniquet on his leg, administering morphine, and fitting Arooth's emergency oxygen while the Tondelayo continues its voyage home. Hours later, the aircraft safely landed back at base. Arooth was in shock, yet he clung to life. Medics provided prompt assistance, and he recovered. Tondelayo had barely survived, obviously saved by Arooth's precision and strong determination, as well as Falk's fast thinking. However, they later discovered that a third person had also saved the B-17. When the men landed, they noticed a strike square into the B-17's fuel tank and were amazed by their luck. The 109's detonating shells were supposed to destroy the fuel tank from within, splitting the wing in half and causing an inferno. But this one appeared to be a dud. Later that day, ground crews dug up the Tondelayo to remove the unexpected ordnance, but when they disassembled the tank, they discovered 11 entire shells jammed within. A single dud was remarkable luck. 11 would have required divine intervention. But once the armorers opened them up, another reality emerged. Not a single one contained explosive filler. They were empty, like a hollow chunk of lead. All save one. One of the shells contained a piece of paper with a check message scribbled on it. An intelligence officer scours the base for a translator. The message is read to the crew. "This is all we can do for you right now." It had been sabotaged by an unknown and heroic soul, then imprisoned and compelled to manufacture weapons by the German army. He or she would never know it, yet their acts directly enabled 10 men to return home. The whole Tondelayo crew would survive the war, including those who bailed over Germany. They were apprehended and imprisoned in camps until their final release. Arooth was lauded as a hero by the other men. He finished the conflict with 17 definite victories and a dozen probables. He lived a long life and died in 1990. Today, a plaque in his remembrance may be found in Springfield, Massachusetts' City Hall. That wraps up the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay notified about our uploads. I'll see you next time. Till then, peace out.